Today, friends, we're going to be talking about New World Aeternum's next expansion called Nighthaven. This is a free update that's going to be dropping on Monday, October 13th. Now, I say free if you're somebody who purchased the game on Xbox or PS5, you have New World Aeternum. If you've recently purchased New World, you have New World Aeternum. The only stipulation is going to be here that if you are a legacy player from like 2021, 2022, basically before the Rise of the Angry Earth expansion, you'll still need to get that Rise of the Angry Earth expansion to be able to get to this. Basically everything that came after the Rise of the Angry Earth is still being bundled in that price tag. So yeah, for my legacy PC players, it seems like Amazon is still expecting you to buy the Horse DLC update, but now it does also include the Vampire and Werewolves update as well. So let's talk about what Nighthaven is going to be doing to the game. It is pretty exciting. We've got a new zone, we got a level cap increase, we've got quite a lot of other stuff to talk about. If you're interested in any particular section, you want some spoilers, you can scrub along in the video and see what we're talking about. But yeah, let's see what's happening with New World Aeternum Nighthaven. With this expansion, we are going to be getting another level cap increase. Currently, the level cap right now is 65. That's going to be going to 70 with this update. And the max gear score, currently 725, is going to be going to 800. Now, in order to get to the new max gear score or get to the new level, it's very likely that you'll be doing some of the new main storyline. It's called the Tier of Gaia. It follows Morgaine, who, again, it depends how much of New World you played or you remember with this character. It is going to take part in the new zone, so there's a new area that's called Nighthaven. Data mining suggests that it's going to be in the bottom left of the map, somewhere down here, but again, we do need to wait to see that be confirmed. Sadly, I would love to include some like gameplay of me walking through the zone and stuff, but right now we only have these screenshots to share. The theme of the new zone does very much seem to be about vampires and werewolves and castles. You can think about Castlevania or V Rising, or I don't know, just basically any sort of vampire, werewolf, kind of Dracula adaptation, stuff like that. Looking pretty spooky, pretty gloomy, and again, there will be a new main storyline that you can follow through the Nighthaven zone in order to get to level 70. There is going to be a new raid with the Nighthaven expansion. It's called Isle of Night. It's a 10-person endgame raid set in the once magnificent kingdom whose inhabitants have now fallen lost, so very likely featuring lost enemies. I think they're going to be vampires. I feel like vampires and Dead Lost makes sense. It is going to be similar in length and format to the Hive of Gorgons. For those of you not familiar, Hive of Gorgons is our current endgame raid. You can do this once you hit level 65. You do need a group of 10 players in order to go through Hive of Gorgons, and similar to this, it is going to contain 3 different bosses, multiple new enemy types, light puzzles, set piece encounters, and they say it's going to be the hardest content in Season 10, demanding players gear up and coordinate to succeed. Whether you'll need to be 800 gear score or less, not entirely sure yet. Again, sadly, we don't have any footage of it, but Hive of Gorgons is an incredibly good piece. I think this is the best PvE content they've added to the game since it came out. So if Isle of Night is as good or better than this, that is fantastic for the game. We'll also be getting a new game mode called Catacombs added with Nighthaven. This is a PVE game mode for up to 3 players. So it's going to be 3-player rather than 5 or 10 like we get with our expeditions and raids. And the way to describe it, it's going to be procedurally generated dungeons where you battle a wide variety of enemies and bosses. You gain unique mode-specific power-ups, collecting cursed resources and currency, racing to successfully exit and cleanse their treasures before time runs out. Now, currently we have content in the game where you do get cursed items. So if you go into the Cursed Mist down here, this is a PvP zone. If you chop down trees, if you loot chests, you'll get cursed doubloons, you'll get cursed orichalcumore and stuff like that. Assuming they're going to take that similar mechanic, what happens when you die in the Cursed Mist? You lose half of the items that you acquired in there. So perhaps going to be a similar system here. They say failure to make a safe exit results in the loss of the vast majority of treasures you collected, but only one player needs to safely exit to avoid this. You're also going to have the decision when you defeat a boss, whether you want to go further in and get better items, but also more challenging enemies, or if you just want to bank what you've got. So yeah, it's an extraction PvE game mode for 3 players. It's got these power-ups, so it has a bit of a roguelike aspect to it. Sounds like it could be pretty fun, and it does seem that they're going to be pumping a lot of rewards into this, so some of the best items that you can get for New World Aeternum Nighthaven are going to be coming from the Catacombs. So get your group of 3 players ready together, probably a tank damage and healer, and you want to see how far you can go in this during the timer, and obviously you want to try and not die, so you get to keep the loot from the bosses and enemies that you defeat. With Nighthaven, there are some big changes that are being added to the game when it comes to end game progression. So your items, your gear, your rewards, a lot of stuff is going to be changing here. There's quite a lot to go through, but we're going to start with these attribute changes over here. So this is quite an interesting one. It initially seems confusing when you read the paragraph, but basically what this breaks down to is they are going to be removing attributes from items. So if we take this ring, for example, this ring's giving me 32 constitution, and this flail is giving me 42 strength. Instead, this strength, this constitution, is just going to be added in the form of these points available, so I can choose where I want to put them. So I have about 220 points available just from being level 65. Instead, I'm going to have more like 500 or 600 points available from being level 70, and items are no longer going to give you attributes whatsoever. You're just going to have a perk in this place instead. There are some examples of old weird items in the game that are currently like this. You can see this item here. It doesn't give you any attributes. Instead, we just have 4 perk slots and a gem slot. And that's what it's going to be like going into Season 10, going into the Nighthaven expansion. Items will no longer give you attributes. Instead, you're just going to get to assign those attributes in this screen here, so you can have a lot more to play around with that you can assign manually. With those 4 perks that you're going to have on the item, you will be able to customize each one of those perks as well. So they say instead of 1 customizable gem socket, gear can now have up to 4 empty sockets, which players can install new perk modifiers called charms. So the way you can look at this is, again, there's a similar comparison in the game. If we go to my sword here, and then I replace gem, I can change the gem slot to any other of these gems that I got in my inventory. But what you'll be able to do is instead you'll have replace perk or replace charm, and you'll be able to do that for each one of these perks on the item. So keen, I could change that to a different perk or a different charm, I guess as they're going to call them. Pen backstab, again, I can open up a menu and choose a different charm from what's in my inventory. So yeah, items are going to have a huge amount of customization in terms of what perks or now what charms you can put on them. And that's going to be accessible through a menu probably somewhat similar to this. They do say that charm sockets, they'll come in these different categories. So you'll have defensive, offensive, and skill. So I assume you wouldn't be able to have multiple skills. So, you know, if you had like a life staff, we got one over here. You probably won't be able to have refreshing divine embrace and fortifying sacred ground in the life staff. But again, we're going to have to see how that actually works in game. They do say that the charms, which are basically the perks, they can be picked up fully refined, but more commonly will need to be crafted with rare materials which drop from endgame content. So that is like the new endgame loop. You're going to be trying to get these charms, and you'll need to use your charms to socket like perks into an item basically. So in the same way that you would acquire gems, you're now going to be trying to acquire charms and socket those into items, which is going to be quite interesting and give a crazy amount of customization to every item that you have. If I want to upgrade this Grey Wizard's Hat to 725 with the current version of the game, what I'm going to do is have the item in my inventory, take it to the gypsum kiln, type in the word Grey Wizard's Hat, and then we can upgrade the item using these materials here. So we can upgrade to 700 or upgrade to 725 with a coconut, or an inductor, chromatic shield, gypsum orb, dark matter, the actual item itself, armor matrix, craft mod. This is going to be simplified with Season 10. Instead, we're just going to be using umbral shards. Now, this is a system that was in the game a while ago, actually. You can see I've still got some kicking around here, depleted umbral shards. Very likely you're going to be able to earn these from a lot of different types of content into the game. However, there is going to be a cap on them. So they say any gear that is at least 700 gear score can be upgraded to 800 with umbral shards. The system works slightly different from how it was in the past, so there is going to be a cap of 1000 umbral shards, and there's also going to be a limited amount you can earn per week. So they are time gating them somewhat frustratingly, but nonetheless, umbral shards will be a much more straightforward system to upgrade items, and any item that is 700 or higher, you will be able to upgrade to 800, the new max gear score. One thing that they don't say is how many umbral shards it's going to cost to upgrade an item to 800. That is something that we don't know yet. Set bonuses are going to be a new system coming in with Nighthaven, where you can get these ultra rare sets, as they describe, which is going to be earned from pinnacle endgame content like the new raid, the catacomb game mode, and the PvP rewards track. The way these are going to work, they're going to come in 2 different configurations. You have even and you have odd. So 2 pieces or 4 pieces, and then 3 pieces or 5 pieces. So for example, we could look at a 3-piece and a 5-piece set if I'm just going to make something up. And again, very much want to emphasize I'm just making something up here. You could have the Shadow Stalker set. So if you have 3 different pieces of gear which have the Shadow Stalker perk on them, when you crouch, you move 25% faster. So that would be like 3 pieces of the Shadow Stalker set. And then you have another example where when you wear 5 pieces of the set, when you go into stealth, or sorry, when you crouch, you enter stealth for like 7 seconds, but it's broken by damage. Again, just making this up. It's entirely possible. Most likely, that's not going to be something we see. But just to give you guys an example of how set bonuses are going to work, you can wear multiple pieces of set bonus gear as well. They give you all these configurations. So you could have another 2-piece set, and you could wear 5 pieces of like different 2 sets. You could have like 2 pieces of the Shadow Stalker, and then 2 pieces of the Flame Champion, and then 2 pieces of the Demon Lord or whatever. These are all the different configurations that work. Exactly what those set bonuses are, how cool they're going to be, that's one of those things that we're just going to have to wait and see during the update. Maybe they'll give us some spoilers on how they're going to work. But nonetheless, I'm excited for this. This is going to be pretty fun and create more build diversity, more build customization. We're also going to get Infix Perks. So this is another new system. They say there will be unique gear pieces with powerful and rare perks called infixes. These function similarly to how unique perks work on an artifact. So I've got like a perk over here. I guess this would be an infix, this shrug off here, because you can't get it on any other item in the game. So yeah, whether these infixes are going to replace artifacts or they're going to work in conjunction with them, that is not entirely known yet. But set bonuses and infixes, along with the perk customization, we're going to be having some pretty wacky builds that we can put together. Finally, we have a little paragraph or a little sentence on perk design. So they say we've done a complete sweep through of collection of perks and made some structural changes. Our goal is to make selection conditional and thoughtful. What this boils down to is the removal of certain perks that basically have no drawbacks, or they're effectively mandatory. Now, they don't say which specific perks, but I think we could infer having Hearty on the ring, which just straight up gives you more stamina, having Refreshing on your armor, which just gives you cooldown reduction so you can use your abilities more often. Based on the language that they're using here, I would say that we're going to see Refreshing being removed, we're going to see Hearty being removed, we're likely going to see Blessed on the life step being taken away. Any perk that is almost seen as mandatory or a must-have in the game right now is likely going to be axed and replaced with something else. My concern with this is we're just going to see like something else step in to replace it, because I feel like human nature is, you know, we want to have a tier list, we want to have a best and a okay and a worst, but right now, that Enchanted Ward, that Refreshing, that Hearty, you know, there's certain perks that you just have to have. If they're going to be able to get rid of those and nail the system down, it does sound pretty awesome. The last thing we have to mention with the Nighthaven expansion, there is going to be another new Outpost Rush map. It's called the Tower. For those of you not currently aware, we do actually have 2 maps for Outpost Rush now, and we're going to have a 3rd one. Likely, this is just going to continue with the hourly rotation, so every hour there's going to be a different map available. It's still going to be 20 versus 20. They say it's going to have 3 different capture points, so it's going to play like a classic Outpost Rush. But I guess it's going to be in the spooky zone of Nighthaven, so yeah, we'll see some werewolves and vampires around. We're going to be able to test, preview this map next week, so September 23rd to September 30th. And then there is going to be a developer video giving us more details on Season 10, and that's going to be coming out in early October. And I'm very much looking forward to that video, because I still feel like we have so many questions based on what we've seen here, and I'm sure you guys have got questions in the comments down below. I did make a few notes of things that I, wanted to talk about or that I wasn't entirely sure of. So for me, big questions to the developers is what's going to be happening with our dark matter and our chromatic seals and coconuts and stuff. The items that we really value right now for end game progression that get us to 725. What is going to be happening with those? Are they going to get converted into umbral shards? Do we simply just throw them in the bin? Yeah, gypsum orbs, Gorgonite inductors, Hive of Gorgons tokens, materia, dark matter. Very curious to see what they're going to be doing with that stuff. I also found that there wasn't any mention of Hive of Gorgons or the Sandworm or even just like the seasonal trials. I really hope that with this new content that's coming in with the Catacombs and with the Isle of Night raid, we're not going to be seeing the existing content be made irrelevant. I know I'm looking at the Winter Runeforge and Hatchery right now, but I'd really like to see this content be relevant in some way. And I also think it would be a terrible shame if the Isle of Night is just strictly better for rewards, and it's just like that's the raid you have to run, and there's not really much purpose in doing the Hive of Gorgons. And I know there's going to be the talk of Umbral Shards, so you could do a Hive of Gorgons for Umbral Shards, but if you can only earn a certain amount each week, if we're capped on that, then maybe it's just going to be better to do the new content rather than not doing the old content. So yeah, fingers crossed, Amazon will be able to give us some information on what's going to happen with the existing stuff in the game. Are we going to get to keep or carry any of it forward? I think specifically with Umbral Shards, I do have a concern that that cap or that lock of only being able to earn a certain amount per week, it is going to have perhaps a unintended consequence that any new players coming into the game, anybody who jumps in on this expansion, let's say like a month or two from now, they're going to have to play a lot of catching up. But if the progression of how many Umbral Shards they can get, if you can only get 1,000 Umbral Shards per week and it costs 1,000 to upgrade an item to 800 gear score, then they've got 10 weeks before they have a full 800 gear score set. And if people are asking that you have to be 800 gear score to do the new Isle of Night raid, then yeah, that's like 2.5 months where you just need to get one set together before you're ready to go. And if they do any balance changes, if they nerf anything, if they change anything, then rip all those Umbral Shards that you just spent. So yeah, a little bit cautious about that cap and how that's going to work. I understand why they're doing it, but at the same time, I do think there's going to be a few issues there. And nonetheless, though, to end this video on a positive note, I am very excited for the set bonuses in conjunction with artifacts, in conjunction with the perk charm customization, with infixes as well. I think there's going to be so much build variety. We're going to be able to cook up some really wacky, very unique, crazy builds. And I'm looking forward to sharing those with you guys here on this channel. So if you want to see some Nighthaven builds with all of the new customization and stuff, you want to see some gameplay of Nighthaven when it's ready, when we can show you guys, make sure you go ahead, click that subscribe button. Like this video if you enjoyed the video. Leave a comment down below if you get any further questions. Like I said, I'm sure you guys have the same questions I do, but if Amazon sees this, or if we have a way to boost the message to Amazon so they can give us the details we want in that next developer video, you guys can let me know, and then I can maybe let them know. But nonetheless, this was a look at New World Nighthaven. Let me know what you guys are thinking about this expansion. Are you excited? Is it something you're going to play? It is free if you have New World Aeternum, and once again, it arrives on Monday, October 13th. I'll catch you guys all in the next video.